So someone asked me about how to get into a split, a front split. And I said I can make a video. So things you might want today are a block, 2 blocks if you have 2, I only have 1. If you don't have a block, you can use books or a pillow, whatever you have, okay? And you also might want a strap. Once again, if you do not have a yoga strap, you can use a belt, you can use a scarf, you can use a towel, whatever you want to do, okay? So I'm here to tell you that my left side is naturally more flexible than my right, so I usually don't have to warm it up a lot, but my right side is definitely work in progress, so you'll see that today. So let's start. So to start out, let's start in a butterfly position, just to get the hips a little bit open. I like to start holding my feet. My feet come sole to sole, and I think movement helps. It helps me anyway to get deeper into the stretch. So we'll start out just like flapping our butterfly wings, right? Sitting up nice and tall. If this is too much, if you're like, I cannot move my legs, you can have your feet out a little farther. You can be still. For me, I can have my feet in pretty close and I can flap my wings, but figure out what works for you. Maybe you need to have your hand back and it makes it easier. No worries. What we're going to do is come to stillness. So really think about pushing those knees down. If they are popping up uncomfortably and you do have blocks or something nearby, you can put a block under your knee. Also, I have like these 2.5 pound weights. They work really well for me too if I needed to. And then when we get further into things, you can actually use them to push down, but we're not going to do that today. Just a future reference. So let's inhale really nice, tall, and if you can, we're going to start coming forward with a flat back. So maybe this is it, maybe this is it, maybe as we breathe, we can come a little forward, but I don't want you to round your spine. I want you to try to keep it nice and flat. So wherever you are, we're just gonna sit here and breathe for about 30 seconds more. You can think about inhaling, lengthening, and exhaling, and maybe walking your hands a little farther forward, getting your chest a little closer to your feet. Maybe you just think about it. Maybe you don't do it, but just think about it. And make sure you're doing some nice, even, deep breaths. Also, you can keep your neck down. I'm just looking at you because I want to, because you're beautiful. One more big inhale, one more exhale, maybe getting a little lower. And then we'll slowly walk the hands back in. Beautiful. So now, although we're not working on a straddle split today, we will sit in a straddle. You'll see that mine is trash. So my straddle is like a V. It is really nothing. But we're gonna do the same thing because I find that I feel this in my hamstrings as well. So I want you to point your toes to the ceiling, really flex your feet. Inhale straight up. And then as you exhale, think about coming forward. Once again, if you have a block or something, maybe you put your block here. If you don't need a block, maybe your arms are down. So to start, before we get deeper, let's do a little movement back and forth. So maybe you're up here doing movement. That helps me as well. And as we do this movement, we're gonna inch, inch, inch. But once again, keeping a nice flat back, because that's what we do in yoga. Once you get to where you're like, this is it, stay there and breathe. And again, we're gonna hold it for a moment. So if you can, if you want to, you can always grab your heels, the arch of your foot, and maybe pull yourself a little farther. If that's too much, back off. Like, you should feel a stretch, but I don't want you to feel pain. I don't want you to injure yourself. But just be mindful. Just because I am weirdly flexible doesn't mean you need to be. We'll get there, okay? We'll get there. So I'm just gonna breathe here a little bit more, whatever's comfortable. And then again, we're gonna slowly come up. So you can keep your right leg straight. Bring your left foot in to your thigh. And then we're gonna square our hips towards that straight leg, right? Inhale the arms up, nice and long, and then exhale over once again with a flat back. Once again, I like to keep my foot flexed here. You can experiment with pointing it, but I feel more of a stretch when I have it flexed. If you cannot reach, this is a great time to use your strap, maybe helping you to get a little deeper as you go, or a belt, or whatever you have. If you have nothing, you can see if holding onto your leg helps you pull. It'll help. We're gonna stay here and breathe, thinking about lengthening, and as you exhale, melting. And like I said, your body should be over this foot. This hip, you wanna keep your butt down. You don't wanna be popped up like this. So it's opening this hip and stretching this hamstring. And I am sometimes not the best at staying same amount of time on both sides. So if you notice a huge discrepancy, or if you just want to hold longer, because I do sometimes hold some of these postures longer than we will today, just hold it longer. Just pause my video. It's cool. Let's inhale and come up and go over to the other side. So left leg goes out, right foot comes to your thigh, foot is flexed, toes to the sky. Inhale the arms up, square hips towards that foot, and then lean over. Keeping your opposite hip down. Well, both your hips should be down. Both your butt cheeks should be down. And breathing here, using your strap if you need to. With every inhale, lengthen. With every exhale, lean a little farther. Now, I know my back is not like ramrod straight, but the main thing is we're not curling like this, okay? When you curl like this, you don't get stretched. So the straighter, the better. Plus, we like to have good posture. Okay, inhale, come up. Let's turn onto all fours. Now for some of this, you're probably not gonna see my upper body, but that's okay, because what's important is what's happening with my legs, because that's what we need to stretch out for a split. So we're not gonna stay here. We're gonna push up and back into our downward facing dog. So nice and long. Let's pedal out those feet. Shoulders away from the ears. Being sure you're not arching your back. Even though we're not staying here, we still need to have proper form. Come to stillness. Then on inhale, I'm going to lift my right leg. Exhale, bring it through to my hands. And now drop that back knee. Drop your left knee. So if this is a lot on your back knee, double up your mat. Front knee is right over the ankle, and we're gonna rise up straight. Again, this is where you don't see me, that's okay. And think about pushing your hips both forward and down while keeping your hips in alignment with each other. So you don't want your hip popping back, you want it to be coming forward. And you really want to be getting as much of a stretch in this quad as you can, and it'll also stretch that hip. So we're gonna stay here and breathe. Keeping your upper body nice and upright. No hunching. I like to put my hands here to just kind of enforce that. And I'm really thinking about pressing my hips down and forward. I know it sounds weird, but you'll know it when you're doing it. A few more breaths here. And we're gonna drop the hands down. Push your hips back. So you still want your hips to be square with one another. And flex your toes. So this is your half split. Now, sometimes you might have to readjust where that foot is because it just may not feel right. You may feel like you're in an awkward spot. So your back leg should be pretty much a 90 degree. Flexing the foot once again. You're gonna inhale, lengthen, exhale, keeping your back as flat as you can, and maybe crawl your fingers out. Trust me, this is not a great feeling for me either, but it's okay. We're gonna stay here for some breaths and then we're gonna add some movement. Nice inhale. If you're alone, you can exhale through your mouth because you don't have to worry about spreading any COVID. Okay, and then let's open and close that hip. So open and close. Just go your own pace, but you should feel more stretching, different stretching in the hamstring, maybe in the hip, maybe even feel a little bit in the glute. So we're gonna do this for a bit. I always think when you have movement, it helps with stretching too, because it, you know, it can be hard to just sit still and just really breathe into the discomfort. But if you move, it gives you something to think about. So let's come back to stillness. One more big inhale, exhale, release. Okay, let's come back to our lunge. So now, once again, you might want your strap. The goal is to stay this far forward in a lunge, but while also stretching this quad. So maybe you have to come up to reach your foot, but I want you to come back down as much as you can. If you're pulling and you have to be here, then you need to back off with your foot because you're not stretching as you need to be. So I like to do opposite hand to foot. It gives me better balance. You can do the same hand, same foot if that works for you. So we're gonna start in a not too uncomfortable way. I feel my quad a little, but it's not too bad. And then we're gonna pull in and we're gonna release it out. We're gonna pull in this time for 10. Release it out. We're gonna pull in one more time, 15. And go ahead and release it back. Nice. So from here, I like to walk this foot over into a pigeon pose. Now, the goal is to have your back toes flat to the ground, your front leg parallel with the front of the mat, hips square, and your butt should be on the ground. For some people, that's not going to happen. If you need to bring your foot in closer, so if you can't, can you see me? If you can't have it square like this and you need to bring it in closer, that's fine. If your knee is popping up, so say that you're here, but your knee is up, what we're gonna do is come up on these back toes, gives you a little room, and you're gonna do little pulses, opening that hip, okay? So you're gonna keep doing those pulses, pause as you need to. Since I don't need to do that, I'm gonna stay here. If you are able to have your hips square and your knees down, you can stay upright and or you can lean over that way. If you're doing these, just take your pauses. Actually, even if you have it flat, this feels pretty good. Feels like it's definitely opening up more. If you need to pause or come out of it, that's fine. We'll just come back here. Just gonna stay maybe 10 more seconds, okay? Okay, now let's push up, toes down, up and back into our downward facing dog. So feel the difference between your legs. Like, they should feel really different right now. I know mine do. Okay, come to stillness. On an inhale, bring that left leg up. Exhale, set it down. We're gonna drop down that right knee. Toes to the mat, making sure your front leg, ankle and knee are in alignment. Once again, hips are square, not open like this. Pushing down and forward. And we're gonna sit here for a while and breathe. Nice, tall, lengthen your spine. Really getting this quad open. You know what's to come, so you know, stretch it now. It'll make it easier when we have to hold it. Just about 10 more seconds. And then we'll go into that half split. So, hands come down, hips go back, toes up. Adjust your foot as needed. And we'll start with a static hold. So once again, keeping your back nice and long. Sometimes for balance, I like to hold the arch of my foot. You can inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold over. Keeping your hips square, not letting them pop out. We will get to that movement, but we're not there yet. Nice deep breaths here. Okay, if you were holding your foot, let your hand come down. And we're just gonna open and close for a while, getting that hamstring warmed up. Taking our mind off any discomfort we may feel, remembering that you're not pushing to the point of pain. Stretching should be some discomfort, but it shouldn't be all out pain. The one time I pushed to pain, I was doing a dress rehearsal for a performance, and I had done a class earlier, so I thought I was warmed up, and I went straight into a split, and my hamstring popped. And it's still not fully recovered, and that was like 4 years ago. So come back to stillness, come over that leg once again. So just be careful, because it could happen to you, and I don't want that. And in the performance, I had to do 3 splits, and it was horrible. I did them, but oh my God, it hurt. Okay, so now we're coming back up. And we're gonna grab this foot with the opposite hand. Maybe you come back a little bit, but then you're gonna come forward. Sorry, hair in my mouth. You're gonna come forward. So wherever it's comfortable, we're gonna hold it there first, right? I'm gonna scoot back actually, because my head's in the closet. So wherever it's comfortable, that we're holding. And then bring it in farther, making sure your hips are still down. Let it come back out. Really think about pushing those hips down, pull it in. Let it relax a moment, and we're gonna pull it in for 15 seconds this time. Ready? Here we go. Nice, let it go. Walk that foot over. Once again, this side may be totally different. Trying to keep those hips square, so not popping up like this. You can bring your foot in if you need to. And remember, if your knee is not down, up on that back toe, and we're gonna do some little knee pulses. If it is square, or I mean, as long as your hip is down, your foot can be in. We're gonna stay still. Or do a little rocking, actually. Just kidding. Maybe rock a little bit. Definitely feel some something. Okay, then we can go back to stillness. You can come forward if that's okay for you. If you're doing those lifting your hips up and down in your honest pigeon, pause as you need to. But we're gonna sit here for about 30 seconds or so to really get that stretch. Nice, long, deep breaths. And then we're going to do one more stretch after this, and then we're going to try our splits on both sides. I'll do my right side first. I suggest you do your bad. If you know which side is worse, come on up. I suggest you do the bad side first, because then you'll feel better about the other side. So we're gonna do a double pigeon. That's the last stretch we're gonna do. So you wanna try to stack ankles and knees. Sorry, my pants are falling down. If this is popping up and it's uncomfortable, you can do this. You can stay back. If this is okay, and you can sit up straight, we're gonna sit up straight. We're gonna inhale, arms up, and then hinge forward at the hips. So I know I can come all the way down. If you can't, I don't want you to keep your arms up there. So come as far forward as you can, keeping those feet flexed and keeping the knees and ankles in line. And once again, we're gonna sit here about 30 seconds, then we'll do the other side, recognizing that the two sides might be totally different. You might need a prop on one side, you might not on the other. Okay, let's come up slowly with control, and we'll switch. So if this is just not happening at all, like this or anything, you also have the option of putting one foot in front of the other. To me, it doesn't do as much, but if you feel it, it's perfect. If you are here with me, stacking ankles and knees, once again, maybe you're here, maybe you just stay where you are and you feel a lot. If not, we're gonna inhale our arms up and come forward as we exhale, as far as you can. And then if you're in a weird spot, let your arms drop, rest your hands, use your block here, whatever works for you. And we'll stay again about 30 seconds or so. You should really be feeling this in the glute of the top leg. You may feel it other places, but that's where I feel it the most. So when we do our split, I'm going to show you from both sides. That makes sense, it will. And we're gonna hold it for a little while, because the longer you hold it, the deeper you can get into it. So I'm gonna start with my right side. So we can start in our half split again. So this is where we were before, right? So maybe this is enough. If you can go a little further, you can start walking that foot back. Maybe this is enough. Now for me, because I have socks on, I have to actually pick my foot up and move it. It's a little awkward, but trying to keep my hips square. So trying not to open up. I'll show you when I face the other way. Now, if you have two blocks, I like to put one block under me. If you have two blocks, you can hold them on both sides. One block I like to sit on, and as I breathe into it, I find I can get a little bit lower. So stay where you are, keep breathing. And I'm gonna show you from the other angle how it looks. just so you can get an idea of what we don't want. So some people do their splits like this. This is an open split. If you just want to be like, look, let me get my leg a little straighter, maybe. I can do this, that's fine. But what we're going for is a square split with our hips both facing forward. And eventually we're pointing that front toe. So I'm really consciously drawing this hip forward. And it hurts. It's stretching a lot right here. It hurts. It's not fun, but it gets better. All right, let's come out of that. Woo! In between, I do like to give a little like forward fold. You can round it back this time. Oh, okay, so now we're gonna do the left side. So I'll show you it from both sides, both ways again. So we'll come back into that half split and then start working on walking your right or whichever leg back and your other leg forward. Ooh. This is my better side. See, hips are still square. I'll show you from the other angle. It looks better from the other angle. Or from the other side, I have to say. So. And if you're partially down and it hurts, prop yourself up a little bit and then sink back down. Oh, okay. So this side, as you can see, looks better. It's the butt. So stay in it as long as you feel comfortable. And then when you're ready, you can roll or push up on your block. Come out of it. When I finish, I like to lay on my back. Do some knee circles for those hips. Maybe my yoga mat just farted. Maybe some happy baby. Whatever feels good for those hips. Because that's, for me, it's the hips that I feel the most, I guess. The opposite hip of the leg that's going forward. So that is your split warm-up. It's something that I would do before I taught Lyra. If I knew we were going to do a splitty move, we would do not this long, but we would do these moves and just not hold them as long. So I hope that helps. If there is something else you want to work on, or you have another, or you just want yoga classes, I am available for hire. All right, we're not gonna do the whole namaste thing because this is just very specific, but I appreciate you. Thank you.